I am here to wrap up my thoughts on Gentleman Jigger by Richard Bruce Nugent. Initially, going into reading this book, girl, I don't know. The book is in two parts. When it comes down to the writing in this book, it's very wordy. So I feel like I didn't get all of the information because I'm reading this for my reading circle, the QPOC reading circle, and because I have to read this for the month, I didn't want to reread sentences and paragraphs just to understand what I read, which I should, but at the same time, it's like I also have to finish reading this book. And I felt like if I keep rereading stuff, I won't get very far, but I'll still end up kind of figuring it out as I go along. So I just kind of read and just kept going. And I think I missed a few things because I kept going. But for the most part, I could kind of understood. And I feel like some of the stuff that I would have wanted to reread anyway, it wasn't as necessary to read. It wasn't as necessary to know for me to like really parse over. And that is something about this book. I feel like this book is more of a collegiate level kind of book. Like if you're really studying Black history and Black like literature and stuff like that. In my case, I'm kind of like reading more for the entertainment. Within the plot, there was like a lot of discussions amongst these people about race and sexuality and gender, and it was cool, but sometimes those conversations felt a little long-winded, and I feel like they could have been condensed into they could have just been conveyed better to like make the to get the point across of what they were saying, because I felt like I was reading a lot of words, word walls of text, of people like lecturing you on something, and you're like, okay, girl, all these words. Like, why do we have to use all these words to say all these things? And it's so abstract. I was just like, it got a little abstract at some points. I was just like, no, swipe left on that right there. I'm not feeling it. And then basically the second part of the book was the lead character and his like love affair with members of organized crime or mobsters and gangsters. Because I guess it's the 1920s, it's kind of played coy in a way, like the writing of it. So it's like he has sexual relations with them, but it's not really explicitly said. And I was just like, I wanted some explicit, like, tell me explicitly that this happened, but it's conveyed clearly enough that I know it happened, but it still was kind of like, I need details. I need a few blow by blows. But then again, with the writing, I'm not sure I would care about those blow by blows, and I would probably get annoyed after a while. With the protagonist, Stuart, he was kind of a snob. He was pompous. He was kind of arrogant. And I guess to the writer, tried to write off his like snobbiness and kind of arrogance and pompousness to make it seem like he was blissfully oblivious to the fact that he was this person that was kind of fascinating to people, but was also kind of like annoying to some. I did feel like Stuart's character was kind of made to seem like this manic pixie dream, like just very like he's just too aloof, and he doesn't have a job, and he doesn't hold the job down, and he's like making it by like just the seat of his pants, like just getting money from people, being able to live in anybody's house and do whatever he wants. And it was just kind of like, I guess so, girl, I guess. And there are people who are enamored with him, and he's just so free-spirited, and people that he's just able to charm his way into their lives, but he's not fazed by like other people, and people who are supposed to be big deals, he's not fazed by them. It's just, I don't know, his characterization is whatever. Reading from Stuart like in the first half was kind of annoying, and then it's like reading about him in the second half was just kind of like he was a little bit more down to earth in the second half, but he still kind of slipped back into the first part of the book, Stuart, and it was just kind of like I don't know. I wasn't liking him as much, but I was pretty much indifferent to Stuart, kind of, you know. But that's partly because I was not totally happy with the writing, so it just wasn't my kind of writing. Like all the other characters in the book There were interesting ones, I suppose. There's like Rusty. Rusty comes up, and Rusty seems like he's a grounded person. He's a little snippy. Stuart is his friend, but he's just not. He's also kind of like still trying to check Stuart on his bullshit, basically. And then he also has like this friend named Bum who's white, but I don't always, I didn't fully get Bum's purpose. Bum's purpose was kind of like to ask a lot of questions. He was like a white man who they got along with, who asked a lot of questions, like challenged a lot of like who Stuart was, and I was just kind of like, I wasn't fully, I don't know, I didn't fully get Bum completely. You know, he felt almost like a plot, like a device to get things moving, to kind of like stir the pot a little bit, but he wasn't like a fully fleshed character for me. With the writing, it just wasn't much fun for me. Like, I still got through the story, and I do think it kind of challenged me with my reading too, because I have to like read it in a month. It forced me to, we gotta like keep it snappy, keep it moving. It just kind of pushed me to like continue to just like read and really try to focus my reading so that the first time I'm grasping what I'm reading. But I do appreciate the vocabulary that this book had, because this book has like a voluptuous vocabulary, like big, like there were big words, there were words that aren't commonly used every day that I don't know. So I feel like I will have to reread this book, and I will have to like just have a dictionary with me, or at least a notebook, just to write down the words that I need to know to know the meanings of, and just so that I can like write down what they mean next to the word, so that like build up my vocabulary, because like the vocabulary in here is ridiculous, and I think it also kind of goes along with the intensity and the richness of how much words were used in the writing in this book. It's just, it's like, it's a 300 something book, and it felt like it was actually probably like 500 pages, because the words were so much, they were so intense, like not just the vocabulary, but just the amount of like how these ideas and these sentences were structured and strung together. Like, it was just so intense. And those conversations, they were long winded, I feel like. But this as a novel, it feels like something that you can really study in college. You can study it for its ideas on like blackness, black history, black American history, the Harlem Renaissance, on black literature. You can study it for its vocabulary. It's just like its thoughts. You could even study it for its literature. I would say, for me personally, it was a great lesson in literature, because it kind of taught me maybe a few things that I might like to do as a writer. It also showed me things that I would not want to do as a writer. Like, it's quite wordy, but I also feel like it might have been because of its time. It's the 1920s. I was just not fully in love with it. For the most part, I'm kind of indifferent to the book. It was all right, I suppose. It was a great experience, and I'm glad, and I appreciate the experience of reading it. And today I am going to my reading circles a discussion of this book, and I would love to hear what other people had to say about it. We had like our little Twitter group chat about it, so I will bring a lot of these thoughts to them that I had, and let's discuss and see what other thoughts they have that I hadn't thought about. If you've read this book, definitely like comment, tell me what you think. If you have any thoughts on similar books like this, tell me what you think. Tell me anything. Definitely give me some comments about this book. Definitely give me some feedback. The next book I am going to read is The Will to Change by Bell Hooks. The Will to Change, Man, Masculinity, and Love by Bell Hooks. And I've started reading a little bit of it so far. It is, child, this is like, it's got some really good in-depth points in there. It talks about like feminism, and I am seeing like, I'm watching some videos and I'm seeing some content and stuff like that where I'm seeing a lot of what she's talking about in this book. kind of like being discussed or being perpetuated in society. And I'm like, yo, this book is so valid. And if anybody's like read this book or know anything about this book, you know, definitely comment about it. Tell me your feelings, your thoughts. I would love to read them. It is also the next book we are reading in May for the QPOC reading circle. I will be back with my thoughts, with further thoughts on this book. I will try to annotate it because I was trying to annotate, but I've just not been very good with it. So I'm going to get better at that.